Morning, everybody, and good afternoon to those customers outside of the United States. My name is Brad Horn, one of the co-founders and CEO of the PTS, and I wanted to thank everybody for attending today. Hope everybody's healthy and doing well. First, Howie's joining me, Howard Heckman, and he is one of our lead developers, and he will be presenting after I just give a quick rundown of house cleaning and some new things going on at PTS. So first off, for those that aren't our customers, I'm sorry to bore you, but hopefully you'll pick up a little bit about our company through my 5 minutes. Anyway, Howie, if you could hit the next slide. So again, like I said, I'm going to be going through the company updates, a little COVID updates, and as well as some overview of what we're doing with Clearstream 6.0 and why we did it. And then Howie's going to really get into the nuts and bolts and go through what's new in Clearstream 6.0 and really be highlighting 3 of our big features. Anyway, next slide. So the first thing, just some COVID updates. PTS is located on Long Island, and we were actually basically shut down on April 1st. We're no longer allowed to come into the office. Luckily, we founded ourselves 20 years ago as a remote company and always kept that as the backbone of how we do things. So we easily flipped the switch, and all of our employees went remote pretty quickly. Through the first couple weeks, we learned, again, because of the crisis that was taking place in New York as well as around the rest of the country, that things were changing drastically, and working hours were changing as well. And we actually expanded our working hours from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night to better fit our parents who had children who were requiring extra care during the day because they couldn't go to daycare and school. You'll note that at 9:30, it looks like the drinking started at one of our employees' home offices, but again, we're pretty flexible with our employees, and we think we pulled it off pretty well. Hopefully everybody didn't experience any deprivation in service or support. Again, to quickly go through this, mid-June, key on-site staff returned part-time. Late July, we brought in more on-site staff, and the offices were full 75% of the time with our staff, so most were coming in 3 to 4 days a week. This month, other staff are beginning to return at a personal pace. Typically, those are our employees who have children who do require care during the day, or may not be going back to school because of their current school situation. In New York, everything is up to the schools, so every school has a different model. Most of the schools are in hybrid model, so in October, if nothing changes drastically with the pandemic, we are hoping to have everybody back in the office at minimum 1 to 2 days per week, because we do see the value in having everybody on office. One of the things that's kind of amazing for us is we're still at a record pace for this year. We have been working on new products at a record pace, and we're having financially a very successful year. We didn't really see that coming in March when this all hit, as at most we were planning for the worst and adjusted that way. And we've been pretty tight on hiring. However, we have not laid anyone off. We still have 100% employment. We haven't laid off or furloughed any employees. And in November, we're actually looking at hiring other key employees, which again, everybody's working at 100 to 120% from their home offices or in the office a few days a week. So we feel it's important that we add some bandwidth in November if everything stays the course and we don't see another outbreak. Anyway, to get away from COVID, next slide, Harry. We also have made some big changes this year. Hopefully our customers have seen them. We've migrated fully on July 1st to Zendesk, which is the market leader in software support technology. You should see that screen below on both the Tracer Plus and on the Clearstream site. Hopefully you've experienced better support. We always strive for excellent support and rapid turnaround on any issues, and we feel that Zendesk is giving us a lot of room to grow in the future. So please feel free to give me any feedback or the rest of our team feedback about how you've seen, or if you've seen any changes since July 1st. Next slide, Howie. Another thing that most of you haven't seen, but may be confusing to you as you work with us, you may see a lot of tracerplus.com emails, because that is Tracer Plus is our primary product, but we also have Clearstream. We've opened up a corporate URL, ptshome.com, and we are going to move all of our employees' emails to that URL. And on that URL, we're actually going to move our partner portal for our partners on. So they'll have a place to log in and they can access the resources for both Clearstream and Tracer Plus. Again, if you want to check that site out, please do. It's fairly new and there's still some work to be done behind the scenes for the partner logins and some other stuff. But we hope it'll make more sense to new customers, especially those Clearstream customers who receive emails from folks with a tracerplus.com email. Next slide, please. Okay, so Clearstream 6.0 has a bunch of new features, and we always try to stick within our mission statement as we develop new features. And two of the big features that we've put out on 6.0 are the Clearstream onboard technology, as well as integration into the PTS cloud. So let's start off with why did we do onboard? Our goal has always been to be hardware agnostic and almost technology agnostic. We want to allow Clearstream to adapt to passive data collection technology and make it available in a easy, simplistic way that you can then stream data into whatever system you have. One of the shortcomings we found with this passive technology, specifically fixed RFID readers, was the remote control of devices. Someone would have to go to a physical site to actually set up the readers and point them and program them. Even with Clearstream. And it was hard to deal with network outages, and it was hard to deal with getting through firewalls. Not to give away all the great features in onboard, but I think we've solved a lot of those items with our 6.0 release and Clearstream onboard. It's a new way of controlling your readers and actually doing testing as well as integration with Clearstream. And we think we're kind of uniquely positioned in this because we are, again, hardware agnostic. So we see other companies, specifically hardware companies, coming out with their own brand of this, but it is only working for their readers. With Clearstream, the goal is to work on every piece of hardware, not just RFID, but BLE, barcode scanners that are passive, you name it. We want to be able to put onboard technology on these pieces of equipment so you can manage them remotely and actually set up their data syncing remotely. Next, the PTS Cloud. Since the beginning, we've as well been very open to how you share your data and what you do with it. We've never claimed to be a data management company per se on the back end or the database side. However, over the years, we've been doing this 20 years since the day of the Palm, we have seen customers continually struggle with getting the most basic database or Excel sheets set up. And as of late, we've seen more and more customers struggle with their own IT networks, their network firewalls and such. So the PTS Cloud gives us a toe or a starting point to develop a architecture that our customers can take advantage of that makes it very simple for them to get their data into a usable format somewhere. And for us and all of our customers, it's an easy way to get started. You can literally spin up a cloud and within hours be collecting data from both Tracer Plus mobile handhelds as well as Clearstream enabled passive data collection devices. And even, I guess, a really exciting feature is our publisher customers will have access to that. So those are our OEM customers. So they'll be able to take advantage of this cloud technology for all of their different customers around the globe. They'll have one data resource that they can design, let's say, to handle their incoming data from their different customers. Anyway, with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Howie now, and he's going to get into the nuts and bolts of these two features as well as other features that are in Clearstream 6.0. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a question and answer period. So please start typing in those questions as you think of them. Thanks. Howie?
Okay, thanks, Brad. And thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. Hopefully you find this webinar and the new features in Clearstream 6.0 exciting. And if you do have any questions, like Brad mentioned, as I go through some of this, please feel free to send them over in the question panel when I finish up here. So the first big feature, and I'm going to go through some of the main features of Clearstream 6.0 here. So the first one that we're really excited about, again, is Clearstream RFID Onboard. This application actually runs directly on the reader itself. So if you're familiar with Clearstream in the earlier versions, 5.0 and before, it was a server-based application. It ran on a server in some place, and it had to have direct access back to the readers in the environment. So there's a lot of install issues, IT typically, when you're setting up Clearstream. You need to make sure that firewalls are open, that you have access to the different readers in your environment and things like that. And then you map those readers to a pre-existing database or system of your choosing through that application. So again, it's installed on a server someplace, some Windows server somewhere, and controls all of those readers, and really requires kind of a reliable connection out to all of the readers in your environment or gateways in your environment. You want to have that sort of direct wired connection from the Clearstream server to each one of the readers in your environment to create that reliable communication from the tags that are being read by the equipment back to Clearstream and then finally into your database. With Clearstream on board, it runs on the reader. So it's first installed on the reader and it runs in the background. It's configured through our web portal. So you log into our web portal and configure everything through a browser. So there's no installation that's required locally for the application. And you could even open this up on your phone, configure the readers as you need them. And the readers then are phoning home to the server looking for their configuration changes and where they should send the tag data that's being collected. On top of that, it also is saving the tag data locally on the device. So even in a kind of a flaky network environment, or maybe no network environment at all at some point, the reader is going to continue working. It's going to continue scanning tags, continue writing those tags to the reader itself. And then when it gets connectivity back to the server, wherever it's sending these tags, wherever it's been told to send these tags, it'll batch send them over to that system. So you could take the readers offline, unplug their Ethernet cable, put them on flaky Wi-Fi dongles. It doesn't matter. The reader is actively scanning all of those tags, writing them to the reader. When it gets communication, it sends them over to the server. So this allows for a lot of installations that may not have been optimal with with Clearstream on the server, in that it allows for like distributed setups. Maybe you have a portal setup that's set up remotely in some place. You don't want to try to wire or get the network access from your server to this remote location through some VPN or some type of setup. You would just install the application on the reader, plug it in. As long as it has an internet connection, it's going to start sending those tags wherever it's been pointed to back to your location. So it gives you those highly reliable kind of remote installs, and even in local networks, it's very good for reliability. If your network goes down but you still have power, it can still scan tags, collect them locally on the reader, and batch them over to your server. So again, it runs on the reader. It's highly reliable for scanning, even in poor Wi-Fi environments. It's a cloud-based configuration and management, so you can see when readers are online. And there's no need to worry about like firewall or IT issues. You don't have to set up VPNs or anything to these readers out in the environment. You don't have to open the firewalls on your server and things like that. So it's an application that we're super excited about for many different installs that allows you to install it in places maybe you couldn't in the past with Clearstream. So just to kind of show you a little bit about this, I'm going to just hop out of the PowerPoint quickly and jump over to our website, onboard.clearstreamrfid.com. Now here I'm going to go ahead and log in and show you how this console looks. But I'll log in and I'll be on my dashboard when I do that. And you can see here I have two different readers in my environment. I have an FX7500 and 9600. I can see which ones are online and which ones are offline. This one here that's offline, you might want to try to debug as to why it is offline, but it would still be scanning tags and recording them locally. And when it comes back online, it'll automatically switch this over to an online state, and you'll see that activity in the website here. You can also see over the past length of time how many times these readers are logging in, checking for their configuration changes, and batching the tags over to the server. So just to show you a little bit about the configuration, again, it's all done through the online portal here. You can go ahead and select one of these readers, click the configure button here, and actually change all of the settings to this reader. Now, if you're familiar with Clearstream in the past, oftentimes you had to power down a reader when you're making configuration changes. What's really cool about Clearstream Onboard is that all of the configuration changes are done in real time. So anything I change here, like its scan mode, its antenna power settings, When I save this, the reader is actually on its next cycle when it comes looks back to the server. It'll download that new configuration change and automatically restart the inventory process on that reader with the new changes. So it's really good for demoing the equipment and seeing the different levels that you may need to set for antenna power and things like that in real time. So you can get that real-time feedback of the changes that you're making in your environment and really see what settings you need. Now, just to talk a little bit about the settings here, you can change where it's sending its tag data. So this is configurable here. So again, it phones home every once in a while with the tags that it's read. So you can define where you want to send those tags. By default, it's pointing them back to the Clearstream website here. You can change the scan modes. You can go from continuous to an input trigger or periodic scanning. You can just change those here through these radio buttons. There's tag timeout settings for reporting when it sees a tag, when it no longer sees a tag, and converting like the memory banks to something readable on your side. And also you can adjust the power level. So this is cool in that you can use these sliders here for the antenna power levels to change those. The sessions and a mask, you can filter tags that are being read by the reader. You can also power up buzzers and lights and things like that through the GPIO ports on the device. This is very useful for Clearstream Onboard because you can power up the outputs based on a lot of things here. You can say subscription server connected or disconnected, the data endpoint connected or disconnected, inventory started and stopped, or no tags read during inventory. And those all allow you to see maybe a problem on the reader by those events happening. So you configure your reader to say, hey, if it's failing to send tags to my server, power up the red light on this device so that if somebody sees it in the warehouse or wherever it's installed, they know that it's offline. And again, you can go ahead and check the status. Why is this reader failing to send its tags to the server? When you're done configuring any of this stuff here, you just go ahead and hit save. It's going to take that configuration and apply it to the reader. And it just takes a couple of seconds to start that operation up again. And then when you're ready to go, you just can go ahead and click this View Tags option here and actually scan and view tags in real time. So you can go ahead and take some tags that are in your environment maybe, place them over the antenna, and now this is going to actually save it locally on the reader. And then when it has connectivity back to the server, and it's based on your settings as well, it's going to batch those tags and send them over. So I just put some in front of the reader here, and you see it directly in the website. So imagine, again, you're installing one of these readers at a remote location. You're setting up a portal that's maybe on a Wi-Fi dongle, and you want to be able to test the reader on your during your installation. You can come to this website here, go ahead and configure it through your cell phone. Go ahead, apply those changes directly while you're at the location, and then also go to the view tags for that reader and see the tags as you're just testing that portal that's at this remote location. You can see that data coming across and get batched over and see it here. And you can group these readers through the website here into different locations and however you'd like to set this up. The readers and viewed in the portal here. Now this is a great option for testing your tag data, making sure the reader's reading tags the way you need it to, make sure the performance is there for the environment. And then at any point when you want to go ahead and switch this over to your own location, you can go ahead and hit configure and change this URL here to where the reader is sending its tag data. So this could be something of your own. It could be some type of API that maybe you have developed for consuming the tag data that's being sent by this reader. Or it can even be a Clearstream RFID installation. So Clearstream 6.0 will support these onboard readers through itself. So if you're familiar with setting up Clearstream RFID for your standard reader, it's the same then for one of these onboard readers. So you get a mix of two things. You get the ease of setup using Clearstream RFID and the flexibility of the data destinations. So it could be Oracle database, MySQL, Excel workbooks, anything like that. You get that ease of configuration into a back-end system with the reliability of onboard sending its tags when it can back to the Clearstream server. And it could be a mix. You can have these onboard readers mixed with your standard Clearstream RFID configuration, where it's the hardwired readers in your environment. You can set all of those up just really as another reader within Clearstream. So this is all I really wanted to show you for the onboard. If you guys have any questions here, please send that over. But just to give you an idea how the online portal works with the readers, how you can configure your devices in your environment and things like that, get up and running with Clearstream Onboard pretty quickly. So with that, let me jump back over to the PowerPoint. The next feature actually ties in with this somewhat. Let me just bring the PowerPoint back up. The PTS Cloud Services. Now, Brad had mentioned, or talked briefly about this, about some of the cloud services that we offer for both our Tracer Plus as well as our Clearstream products. And so the PTS Cloud Services allows you to work with our team here at PTS to come up with a web portal for a cloud installation that suits your needs. So we would install a PTS Cloud specifically for you. You control who has access to that cloud. You can manage the users within that environment. And then using our other tools, Clearstream, as well as if you're using Tracer Plus Connect, you can map into that system. And then with that, we give you the ability to see the data that's syncing into that system. And we'll also work with you on setting up things like reporting of that data and how that data may be laid out for your particular environment. So you get things like different syncing options to the cloud, reporting options so you can see your data, filter your data, export your data out of the cloud. You also get the reliability and accessibility of a cloud installation. So again, you don't have to work through any IT issues with your Clearstream or our Tracer Plus setup. You're just pointing these data collection tools, Clearstream and Tracer Plus, back to that cloud server so that as the readers are scanning tags, it's posting it to the cloud server. And similar to the website that I just showed you for the configuration of the tools, but now it's geared and uniquely fit to what you need to see in that cloud, how you want to see that data. And again, it can be customized for your unique requirements. So you again would work with one of our team members here on coming up with a spec as to how you'd like your cloud installation to work, and we would go ahead and customize it to suit your needs there. So if I'll jump back out of the PowerPoint and just show you a little demonstration of how that kind of works. It looks somewhat similar again to the Clearstream console, and this one is set up as a demo to Tracer Plus, but this could also be set up for a Clearstream installation, or it could be branded as you may need it for your particular published app. Like Brad mentioned, if you had a published app on the Tracer Plus side, it could be branded to that, so that all of the published clients that you have are pointing to your portal. So this here is, again, something you'd have configuration to. You could go ahead and configure the users that have access to it, the setup of all of these, the organizations that are loaded up within your cloud installation, as well as in this case, it has a simple view demo site inventory. It's just a table view here of the data that's getting sent to it from the handheld. Now, in the Clearstream's case, you would probably see all of your tag data, and it could also include the information about what that tag data is. So maybe, part information or user information for badges or things like that. But these views here would be kind of customized to you, give you the option of filtering this data, exporting this data in a number of different ways so you could get it out of the cloud, maybe to view in more detail on your side. Gives you different options for how you'd like to see them. Again, all specific to your needs, and you just, again, work with one of our team members here and putting that together to fit what you're looking to accomplish through the cloud. Again, avoids all the IT issues that can come up with installing server software and then getting the Clearstream access to something internal of your network that may be easier to do if you were just to install it to a cloud server. So again, this is all customized to your needs, and you would work with one of our team members here on putting this together. So please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on the cloud setup. We'd be happy to get you more information on that. Let me jump back over to the PowerPoint. And the last big feature I wanted to talk about today was actually something Brad didn't mention, is for Bluetooth beacons. So zone-based BLE locationing with Bluetooth beacons. So this feature here is actually an add-on to some of the stuff that we had initially done in Clearstream 5.0. In Clearstream 5.0, we added Bluetooth beacon support to the application. So you could map Bluetooth beacons or the gateways into your pre-existing system using Clearstream, and it behaves just the same way as an RFID reader. You add the RFID reader or Bluetooth gateway to your setup, and then map it to some place you'd like to send it, maybe a web service or a backend database, text file, anything like that. Clearstream 5.0 gave you that ease of installing those devices into that backend system and collecting that beacon data to that backend system. So whether or not a beacon is at a location or something like that would be collected in Clearstream. So for Clearstream 6.0, we took this a little bit further in giving better support for locationing in Clearstream. Now this version here is not like triangulation where you'd see the beacon at a particular location on a map, but it would give you a view of beacons and the zone that they're in. So basically the closest gateway they're next to within the environment. So you could have, say, 10 different gateways throughout a large facility. Every time one of these beacons comes close to that gateway, the closest gateway reports it as being at that location. And then you could obviously build out some reporting to see then where all of the beacons are in your environment. Now the good thing about this is it's very easy to set up. So you can easily hook up this hardware in your environment, and the configuration in Clearstream is very simple. I'll go through it just in 1 second here. It's very simple just to configure it so that when a beacon gets within some X number of meters to that gateway, go ahead and report it in my database as at that location. And you could see then in your transactions of beacons in your database, you could see where this beacon has been in the environment. So again, it gives accurate locations down to an area. It's easily configured and deployed, and it could be used to track personnel and assets per location. So maybe as personnel are within an environment, you can see how many beacons are nearby a certain gateway, and then within that room, maybe how many people or assets happen to be there that are tagged with these beacons. So again, I'll jump out of the PowerPoint. I just want to show this configuration. It's relatively simple in the Clearstream 6.0. So you can see here, I have Clearstream 6.0. I have a Bluetooth gateway set up as the source of my beacon data. I have that mapped to the Clearstream sample database called this BLE beacon list. So prior to this in version 5.0, this might be just collecting beacon information by this gateway, sending it over here, but it wouldn't necessarily be sending those beacons if they're close by. It could be 100 yards away, sending that beacon information into the destination over here for any gateway in the environment. So you may not have that sort of granular look as to which beacons are within which zone or which area of your environment based on all of these gateways. So here I have this one setup. I'm going to go ahead and configure it so that I only get beacons sent over to this when it's within some range of the gateway. So if I go to the Devices tab here, let's call this one Room 100. So this gateway, maybe I have installed at Room 100, so I'm going to go ahead and name it that. Then down below here, I'm going to go ahead and configure it with a custom event. So if I jump into the custom event and hit Add, I'm going to go ahead and name this event. I'm going to call it Entered Room, and add one tag event to this, which is going to be the distance, which is calculated by Clearstream, is less than maybe 10 meters. Let me just put 10 here. So basically by me doing that, when this this gateway that's installed in room 100 detects a beacon, it's only going to report it if it comes within 10 meters of this gateway. So when you get this gateway event into the database, you know that that beacon has come within that 10 meters, and then we're going to report it. And if you were to look at that data, you could see that that beacon is at that location because it's come within range of that gateway. Now, some of these signals can be a little, they can bounce around a bit, the RF signals. So we also gave you the option to average these out. So you could say, I want to have 10 hits on this beacon and average that RSSI and distance values so that I can smooth out that signal. Maybe the person that's wearing this this beacon might be turning. That RF signal can fluctuate on the gateway. So what we want to do is take an X number of hits off of that beacon and average them out so that we can say, okay, we're pretty certain that this beacon is within 10 meters of this gateway, even though maybe that signal's been bouncing around a little bit. So it'll smooth that signal out for you before it does the check to say, is it definitely 10 meters or within 10 meters of this gateway. And that's really all you have to do. You just go ahead and define that custom event, And now this Room 100 gateway is going to report any beacon that comes within 10 meters of that gateway and sends that to the database. So if I were to, and this is just some sample data here, but if I were to go ahead and jump over to this data that's being collected, if I had a number of these gateways, I can see, okay, look, it was this beacon was in room 101, followed by 102, went to a storage closet, 101, cafeteria, room 102, and then office. So you can see and keep track at a kind of a breadcrumb of where this beacon has been within your environment if you have those gateways set up throughout your space there. And every time it comes within 10 meters or whatever you define, it's up to you in that configuration, it will report that beacon to your database and keep track of it that way. And obviously you could build out reports and things like that to view this data. Maybe you want to see only the top locations for all of your beacons so you know where every beacon currently is. And that's also something you could build into our PTS Cloud. You know, if that was something you were looking to do, we could kind of build that into a cloud installation. So those are the key features I think I wanted to talk about today in Clearstream 6.0. The biggest thing being Clearstream RFID onboard, but our cloud services are very important to creating a complete solution for both Clearstream and as well as our Tracer Plus product. And then the BLE stuff we're constantly adding features to. We're actually looking to add support in a soon-to-be-released version of Clearstream that will even add more gateway support for the application, so you can kind of mix and match the hardware that you have there to give you more options. So with that, I think that's all I wanted to show you with the features, and I thought we could jump over to back to the PowerPoint if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, the first question we see, Howie, is regarding whether we're going to have a replay. So everything should be recorded properly via GoToMeeting, and we should have this available via our Clearstream RFID YouTube channel. Encourage you to subscribe to that. It's a great resource for not only how to set up Clearstream, but what's new. We even do reviews of hardware on that website or on that YouTube channel. So yes, it will be available, and I believe you'll also get an email saying it is available if you are subscribed to our email. The other question was,
I have a question here too about.
Go ahead, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the next question is just really the differences between Tracer Plus and Clearstream. So for those that aren't familiar with Tracer Plus is an interactive data collection tool that runs on mobile handhelds as well as Windows PCs or laptops. It supports iOS and Android. Older versions support CE, Windows Mobile, and then on the newer versions we support Windows. So the big difference, obviously, is Tracer Plus is an app development toolkit for interactive data collection that supports RFID and barcode scanning. Really, the way to look at Clearstream is as a passive data collection tool that streams data to a pre-existing database. So you could, at some point, see a Clearstream version running on a handheld, per se, in the background, collecting data on a handheld if needed. Sorry, Howie, go ahead. You can take on the next one.
Sure. So next question I see here is, any plans to support ultra-wideband, more precise location, and now available on iPhone 11 and more phones in 2021? So we're actually looking at a number of different technologies to include within Clearstream. Ultra-wideband could definitely be one of them. We are looking to add different data collection technologies to Clearstream. Just so you know, a couple that we're currently looking at are some dummy scanners, just barcode scanners, that would allow you to quickly hook up kind of those fixed dummy scanners in your environment and stream the data that's being collected by those scanners through to your selected destination. So you get that ease of configuration for a dummy barcode scanner into an environment, just as you do for Bluetooth gateways and for fixed RFID readers. We're also looking at Android phones for Bluetooth beacon scanning as well, so they can passively actually communicate the beacons they see within your defined range to Clearstream and map that data behind the scenes into your, again, backend system of choice as another data point or data collection point that can stream through Clearstream. Ultra-wideband is something that we're looking at. I don't have a time frame on that in particular, but those are the types of technologies that we are looking to add to Clearstream. And if you guys have any requests for that as well, please reach out to us at the end of the webinar, because that's, those are the things that we want to include as supported type features within Clearstream. We think they make perfect sense, is to be able to take one of those technologies that may have required a programmer or some kind of custom installation or custom application in the past, and be able to just stream that data that's being collected into your system. So that's a great question, and we'd be glad to have a further conversation about it.
Good question here. I'll just jump to, can you have both Tracer Plus on an RFID handheld as well as a fixed reader? Tracer Plus, again, is more of an interactive solution, so it wouldn't necessarily make sense to put it on a fixed reader unless that fixed reader is now connected to a PC, so you're actually doing one-to-one scanning. And we've been approached about that. It is something on our drawing board, but the Tracer Plus would really be controlling it remotely, almost like what you would do with a wedge scanner or a dummy scanner. That's how Tracer Plus with the PC applications are traditionally being used. We do see Clearstream more often as an option to run on mobile handhelds where the company owns them primarily, I would imagine, streaming, GPS data, BLE data, those type of things, because as many know, a mobile handheld basically includes a BLE gateway on it. So that's a nice piece of technology that we think we can take advantage of, that most organizations will have already in their hands of their mobile users. Next question is,
and that's a good way to put it, Brad. Is
go ahead.
It's turning basically an Android phone into a gateway itself. So being able to not just add the fixed gateways that we currently support in Clearstream, but add an Android onboard, Clearstream onboard client that can turn that device into the gateway. So as you're moving throughout an environment, that gateway or Android device is streaming the beacons to the Clearstream install.
And one of the cool things we're looking at, which I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but it is on the drawing board, is map integration on the Tracer Plus and Clearstream side through what the mobile handheld has available with geocoding. So imagine, again, a mobile handheld can get GPS coordinates as well as collect BLE information. So these are the type of technologies we want to really go after and make available to our users so they can get the data points they need via the equipment they use or the new equipment that's available. Good question. Is Onboard a license? And yes, Onboard is a separate license. It actually is a pretty affordable license. If you know about our Clearstream RFID, we have the first license traditionally set at a retail of $2,500, and we dropped the price to $500 for each additional reader. Those are perpetual licenses and have supports that go along with them. The reason that first reader is so expensive is because traditionally we are supporting a lot of network issues trying to get readers and databases let's say approved on that network or be able to go through the firewall. With Onboard, we think we're going to alleviate most of those problems. So the Onboard pricing is extremely aggressive. I don't have it in front of me, but it's because it's very volume based. And it does work as well with traditional Clearstream licenses. So it's all kind of going together and it gets a little, let's say, mushy, but it is an aggressive subscription model that can be turned on and off, just like Tracer Plus. So that's another exciting thing, what we're seeing with Onboard, which we really didn't get into, but we see it with our subscription side on Tracer Plus, is the ability for users, and salespeople probably will hate when I say this, but you could theoretically turn on an Onboard license for a month when you need it, and then turn it off when you don't. Horrible example, but with COVID, we saw a lot of our subscribed users in Tracer Plus have the ability to turn that off on a monthly subscription level and then turn it back on as they need it, especially with the schools that we're working with. No need to have the license active when you are not using it. Perpetual license does not allow that. It's all paid for upfront. So anyway, that's kind of what we're thinking with the subscription users, and how it should be taken advantage of. You want to take the next one, Howie?
Sure. Okay, so I have a question here about how do I know what beacons you are compatible with? So maybe just to describe that here, it should be available on our website or our forum or even in the documentation of Clearstream, but we do support all iBeacon formats, the one iBeacon format, and all Eddystone formats for their different frame types. So anytime you see an iBeacon or an Eddystone, which is Google's version of a beacon, we will support it, and you can stream that into Clearstream, and it'll collect all of the data from that automatically for you. So distance from the gateway and whatever values of data that they send over will be collected by Clearstream. It looks like there's a follow-up to that about how do I know the gateways you're compatible with. Again, this is something we actually have on our compatible hardware list on Clearstream, but currently with the 6.0 release, we support Blue Cats and Blue Epic gateways. And with our next release, we will be supporting some new ones that we have in-house here that we will roll out. That'll be just a minor upgrade to Clearstream to add extra hardware for that. So it goes back to Brad's point about we like to support many different hardware options so that our customers have the flexibility that they need. You can mix and match this hardware in your environment, and as new, even better equipment comes out, you can just add that onto your Clearstream installation.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Howie's saying, what we're seeing with BLE for those that have used it already, especially on the gateways and the beacons, is the provisioning of the equipment can get complex, and the hardware manufacturers are traditionally controlling that provision, which is another layer of complexity that you have to take into consideration when deploying a solution. We're trying to, again, offer a way to make this simple for the user where they go one place and do what they need to do and remove some of the complexity that the hardware manufacturers traditionally add, not on purpose. They're putting it there so you can do a project, but since we have software that we're controlling the readers with, it's just another thing you have to touch. So we're trying to really think about how we make the deployment process easier. A good question here, can you describe some of the applications that drove this new development? And I honestly wish we thought about that because we would have probably shown some in the presentation. But I'll give one that kind of rolls it all together of why Onboard and the cloud are so critical to some of our customers. So I really can't name the customer, but I can talk about that they're one of the major construction firms in the world, and they're building a number of big buildings in our city, New York City. And one of the problems they have is when material shows up. Is it the right material? It's here. We need it now. They need that information. They work in small footprints of the area, and they have to maximize the material on site and get it into the construction process ASAP. So the project managers at this job discovered PTS, understood that Tracer Plus could be configured to work with pretty much any data collection process on a subcontractor side. So we actually developed mobile handle applications for all of these different subcontractors to collect the shipping data, i.e. a bill of lading that was going out to the job site, and we then married that to an RFID tag. So it was stored in our PTS cloud with all of the information they needed to receive the data on the other side. This was early on PTS Cloud, and then that PTS Cloud then aggregated all that data, put it in a usable format, and this construction company actually used that data to connect it to a bunch of different systems that we assisted with, including a 3D model of the building as it went up. Now, Onboard became really important in this project because, again, we were on a construction site, and in the beginning, there is no connectivity, let's say. There's power, but they have a flaky network, and wires are traditionally cut inadvertently because people are running around with big trucks and equipment, and we would see a lot of downtime. So we had now subsequently put the new Onboard feature, which hopefully I'm answering another question here, is now available in 6.0 on all of these RFID readers. So if they do lose connectivity, the data is stored locally and goes up. So those are the type of things we're seeing. Dispersed deployments where they have to aggregate data. The PTS Cloud is a great solution for that. We've even seen that for PPE management, where companies haven't had PPE management in place before, couldn't go out and find something, so we built a cloud for PPE management for all their different sites. Very simplistic idea, but hard to tackle if you're doing a lot of different things and you have to do it quickly. And then the Onboard, again, for anybody who's got a dispersed user base, and different sites, and they understand that to get a RFID or a BLE installation onto those sites is going to take a lot of IT manpower. Onboard simplifies that, where you can just send the equipment out, someone plugs it in, it phones home, and is automatically connected to your network. So I hope that answered that question. Howie, why don't you take the next one?
Sure. Also, there was a question here about when is version 6 released. It's available on our website now, so if you do go there, if you download the latest version, it will be version 6. Okay, so question here, working with a client that has old MC9090s, reader for UHF tags, runs Microsoft CE. Do you support this hardware? Yeah, we should support this with the Tracer Plus product. I can't say it's going to have all of the RFID features, although I think it has most that are available within Tracer Plus, but it should run on that equipment and allow you to scan RFID tags. The only one it didn't work with back in those days was I believe the MC9060. So as long as it's not bad, I think you should be okay. But again, there might be some features that are missing. I don't think many though.
All right, I think that's about it. If anyone else has some last minute questions, we have a few minutes left. We talked, I guess, pretty quickly today, Howie, which is good. We usually go over. But you know, if you have anything else, feel free to type it in now. I'm going to wind this down, I guess, until we see another question. We really hope that you can join us on LinkedIn. If you want, you can follow us on Facebook. It's not your typical Facebook political debate. It's your RFID page. We'll just post, you know, pictures and when news releases are out about, for example, this webinar. And you can also follow us on our company site at Portable Technology Solutions on LinkedIn. We also encourage you, which isn't listed here, to follow our YouTube channels for Tracer Plus and Clearstream. Not only do we give some great tutorials on how to use the software, we also do some hardware reviews, which we think are beneficial to show you why we like certain pieces of hardware and why we think our users should like those pieces of hardware. Anyway, with that being said, you can download the demo and get started right away at clearstreamrfid.com. We have an emulator on there that allow you to even build you know, a demo environment for yourself. I think that's about it. We will be shutting this down now. I appreciate everybody coming. Everybody stay safe. Please feel free to call your reseller or PTS representative with any further questions. And if we didn't answer your question, we will make sure to get you an email with the answer.
Okay, yeah, thanks everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks again for joining us.